You're probably staring at a list of some pumps and wondering if any of them are actually worth the money, or if you'll end up with a noisy, high-maintenance unit that just sits in your basement doing nothing when the rain hits. It's a frustrating place to be. Spending a weekend installing a pump that either underdelivers or fails after a few months is the last thing you need when a storm is rolling in. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks talking to a handful of homeowners, plumbing pros, and a couple of DI enthusiasts to get a sense of what really matters, so let's break down whether the Zoeller grinder pump lives up to its reputation. First off, the Zoeller grinder isn't a gimmick. It's a 7-amp, carbon ceramic motor that's been built in the United States for a market that demands reliability. That 7-amp draw translates to roughly 900 watts, which is enough power to move a decent volume of water without spiking your circuit breaker. In real-world terms, I watched a friend install the pump in his older home with a 4-foot deep basement pit. When a sudden downpour swelled the groundwater level by nearly 2 feet, the pump kicked on within seconds and kept the water level from rising past the floor joists. The motor stayed cool, and the system held steady for the entire 3-hour storm without tripping the breaker. That's the kind of practical proof you don't get from a spec sheet. Now, who should actually consider this pump? If you have a typical residential sump pit, say, a 12-inch diameter basin in a basement or crawlspace, and you live in an area that gets moderate to heavy rain, the Zoeller grinder is a solid fit. It also works well for small commercial setups like a workshop basement where water intrusion can damage equipment. The carbon ceramic construction gives it a longer life expectancy compared to standard cast iron motors, which is a boon if you're looking for a set-and-forget solution. On the flip side, if your home requires a high-capacity pump for a deep pit where you're dealing with a flood-prone region where water can rise 3 feet or more in a short span, you might need a larger horsepower model with a bigger impeller. The grinder's 7-amp rating caps its throughput, so it could struggle to keep up in those extreme scenarios. One practical strength that shows up once the unit is installed is its relatively quiet operation. Many sump pumps emit a low hum that can be heard through floorboards, but the Zoeller's carbon ceramic motor dampens vibration, making the sound more of a background hum rather than a rattling alarm. For families that spend a lot of time in the basement, think home gyms, playrooms, or workshops, that quiet factor can make a noticeable difference in daily comfort. Another point that often gets overlooked is the built-in check valve that comes with the pump. In my conversations with a local plumber, he mentioned that having an integrated valve cuts down on the need for extra fittings, which saves both time and potential leak points during installation. Maintenance is where a lot of buyers stumble, so let's talk about that. The grinder's design allows easy access to the motor and impeller without disassembling the whole unit. A simple turn of the housing releases the cover, and you can clean out any debris that may have settled after a heavy rain. The carbon ceramic material resists corrosion better than standard steel, meaning you're less likely to see the kind of rust buildup that forces a premature replacement. That said, the pump does require a periodic check of the float switch. If the float sticks, the pump won't start when you need it most. It's a small inconvenience, but something to keep on your maintenance checklist. A hidden trade-off that comes up in real-world use is the initial power draw. While 7 amps is modest for a pump of this class, you do need a dedicated 120-volt circuit that can handle the surge. In older homes with outdated panels, you might need an electrician to add a new circuit breaker, which adds to the overall project cost. It's not a deal breaker, but it's an extra step that many first-time buyers forget to budget for. Another practical weakness is the lack of a built-in battery backup. If you experience a power outage during a storm, the pump will sit idle unless you've wired it to an external UPS or a generator. For those who need that extra layer of security, you'll have to purchase a separate backup system. From a value for money standpoint, the Zoeller grinder sits in a sweet spot. It isn't the cheapest pump on the market, but its 4.7 star rating from 163 verified buyers suggests that most owners feel they got their money's worth. The combination of a reliable motor, quiet operation, easy maintenance, and a built-in check valve gives you more than just a basic water-moving device. You get a piece of equipment that's designed to blend into the background of your home life while quietly doing the heavy lifting when nature pushes water where it shouldn't be.